Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Isuzu A-League download, final episode of the season. And look, we brought out the entire cavalry. This is so exciting. I don't know why none of them joined me on this one.
We got to clarify. What have you got in the contract that we need to squeeze on this couch? And you can...
Are you complaining? Thomas Sorensen, Archie Thompson, Norm Sekalovsky, Batka, Macedonia's finest, all together, all at the game last night. Are you comfortable? Is it like when you're on you're on a budget airline, Archie's in the middle seat. It's like it's fighting for the armrest, isn't it, Archie? Yeah. You're like, just if you get your arms out, the trouble is if Thomas needs a wee, you all have to get out. You're like, oh,
well, it's always the smallest, the weakest one. Always get the middle. They can't fight for themselves. No, you just got to sit in the middle.
Okay, so we get on with it then. Melbourne City 1, Melbourne victory 0. You guys were all there. Record Amy Park. Attendance for any sport, proving that football is better than all the other dumb sports this country plays. 29,992. Melbourne City's second grand final victory. Their first derby win since April 2023. So they've won 2 of 5 grand finals over the last 6 years. The form side, aren't they? What did we make of it? Thomas, kick us off.
Obviously, as a Melbourne City... connected
you did flirt with Auckland. You did flirt with Auckland. You flirted with Auckland for a lot of this season, but now City have won. I see.
It's always been City.
He's a City man.
Yeah. Okay.
But fantastic. I thought it was a great occasion. I thought the whole build-up. We just talked briefly before. Everyone's stepping in on the national anthem. So the whole sort of start to it was fantastic. As I said, full crowd. The game, maybe not a classic, but it was hard fought. I thought both teams laid it on the line. Very, very pleased with the Melbourne City win.
Arch?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Tomo says. I think Melbourne victory, it seemed like, I thought that game against Auckland, because they really matched their physicality, we're going to bring that same intensity to this match. But I just think that whether that kind of... was their grand final but then Melbourne City were just fantastic and everything. They just had to ride that little bit of a wave that Melbourne victory brought. They always bring in that first 5 or 10 minutes. Then they just got into a rhythm of dominating defence. When they got the ball, they looked like they were going to threaten all the time. And they won all the battles that I thought that maybe that game in Auckland that victory would be able to match that. But they just couldn't. And the better team won on the end.
Yeah, because Victory started really well, didn't they? And they've got lots of little fiddly players that can do lots of circles. Like Azani's just going round and round and round. And you're going, come on, create something, create something. And that first 10, you thought, wow, Victory are on. This is great, because I picked them. And I was like, they're going to run away with this. City have got nothing. And then the goal is sort of City's first attack, isn't it? Really?
It is, and that sort of sparks City's transition in that game. Up until that point, Victory looked like they're pedal to the metal. Again, great work by Bajic, and then the Israeli pops up on the back stick, Cohen, and just finishes it off.
First time he's kicked it with his right foot since he joined the A-League, I think. Feels like
there we go.
Yeah.
So
pick your moment.
Yeah.
It was a night of firsts. But really, after that point, I just felt that they settled. They settled within the game. Their ball movement was a little bit crisper. I think the midfield was sort of sitting off Lekic, and he had, as a 6, which he's not a natural 6, he had plenty of joy in there and sort of started to pull the strings from a midfield perspective. And I just felt like they were a little bit more comfortable from that point on, City. And then, from a football standpoint, I think you said it, big fella, it wasn't a fantastic game. But massive for City. Massive for City.
Let's talk about Lekic then, since you brought him up.
Yes,
he'd never played in the 6 before. And he did say, look, I've had a season full of injuries. It's a sort of role with a bit less high-intensity running. Don't give the game away for us holding midfield. Because at the end of the game, you fall down going, I'm knackered. You actually haven't moved at all. I couldn't work out, Thomas, because obviously if you get a big wound and you have a bandage. I've never seen one across the whole
what
face.
What you're talking about is the worst bit of taping in the history of football.
It's amazing, isn't it?
What's going on there?
But it always seems to be the case, right? Whenever there's a little cut, they've got to make it look like the elephant man.
I suppose it's quite hard to get it. But you know what? If anyone plays and ends up with a bandage, you think, well, they have been brilliant. So I couldn't work out if he was brilliant, or I just presumed he was brilliant because I was watching a guy with blood and, that kind of...
the Terry Butcher
exactly,
back in the day with the blood down.
Classic.
You know what? I think he had a good game. Was he the best player in the park? I think there was others that definitely were in contention, but I think it's just great for him with the season. He's still the highest paid player at Melbourne City, and he hasn't really contributed. And I thought, for him to come in that important role, because that midfield of Victory, I think controlled the game. We all talked about Teague, how great he's been, Valadon. He was up against it, and him and Jugarkovic, I thought, condensed it and really made it difficult. And as you said, as the game sort of opened up a little bit, he got into the game a lot more. So it's just for Victory, it was just that final third. They did get in behind early on. I thought Asani, you felt it had to come from him. Gotta say, when he's at it,
he's
and
so
the way
fun,
he glides,
isn't he?
he looks like Messi. That sort of thing. Has he got the final ball? Has he got that last bit of quality? Maybe not, but he was immense. Those first, but they just didn't get that final ball in the box, which Melbourne City did. That ball from Cohen, obviously, hits the bar and then he scores. That was the little bit of quality that Melbourne City popped up with, and Cohen, he had 3 chances. He had that head,
the head up,
50p head,
and a great save from Duncan. So, and Victory, they only had maybe the Patrick Beach clearance that fell, and then they had the shot in the. I think Mashash
had a few.
So other than that, I don't think Patrick Beach had a save. Maybe it's just me that can't remember.
No,
you know what I love is the chief financial officer just telling us that Matthew Lecky's the highest paid player in the league.
No, not in the league. I don't know about the league.
Oh, sorry, at the club. Sorry, my bad. Apologies to the A-League.
But I don't think that's a secret.
No, I just love the little nugget. He just rips that out. And last week we were speaking about Harry Potter. So going back to Lecky now. Voldemort. He's going to look like Voldemort after this. Anyway, so
it's hard to, when you've had like that. Obviously, if you're an elite sports person, it's different. But that would really put me off. It put you off? You can't see. It's had to sort of pull it down. You need a little winder to go, hang on, I'm in the 6th. No, there he goes. The little bandage goes down. And there was so much blood. You're meant to go off the pitch. And the ref just went, oh, God, this is just like, he had like a blood moustache, didn't he?
Well, what I like is, if it was me after the game, and when he goes up and picks up the medal for man of the match, I would have taken that. He's got those pictures for the rest of his life. With him with the tape. Surely you can take the tape off and maybe just put a little, bit of thing up in your nose.
The Tomo.
But he kept it on. Fair play to him.
Chat GPT now and AI, they can take that off. Right? So there's technology now that'll just fix that up, no problem, Arch.
I'll be on that, mate.
Yeah, you'll be on that straight away.
Let's talk about Jonathan Cohen, because, he's had a sort of stop-start season with injury, hasn't he? But actually, he's really, in the real key moments, has shown that bit of class. There's that trademark, the goal he scored in the semi-final, which is beautiful. He almost did it again in this.
Yeah.
Obviously, he missed that header, but he scores the winning goal. You want to be the guy that scores the winning goal in the grand final.
Well, any top striker or any winger, attacking winger, needs to be alert in any situation. And you can see with the goal that you could see him actually anticipate where the ball's going to go, and clinical finish. Also, that amazing left foot that he hit that Jack Duncan at the save to his right. We've seen how many times that he scored that goal. The header, okay. Aurelio Vidmar's out of his seat thinking that's it.
I think we all thought.
Yeah. But you got to get yourself in those positions. But I just think he's really silky. I mean, he's only got signed to 1 year. The kind of interviewed him after and asked him, you're not going to answer any questions about you moving because you just want to soak in all the atmosphere. But whether they keep him or not, I think it'd be great to have him around again, because, like you said, he could only get better with the understanding of what the league is now. You can see his quality. I mean, that left foot of his is just amazing, and he just glides like he's got acceleration too. Just a brilliant back end of the season, and what a way to win a final too.
Yeah, and also to touch on the foreigners, you saw Ferreira as well. There's always foreigners. You always question, they come to Australia. Is it half-hearted? Him and
he looks a bit soft, Ferreira, to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know what? That's probably the only thing you can criticize him for. He doesn't go in. He's a little bit half-hearted.
I think so.
But also to see him at the final whistle, him fall into the floor,
Really emotional.
in tears. You know, so that's great to see that, you know, they're really fully invested in it, in the product. And also to, you know, you got to give Vidmar some credit, because if you go back to last year, they're very disappointing. I was at the game when they lost to Victory, where
He'd never beaten Victory as City coach.
No, but also like last year they played with 11v10. They should have won that game and end up, you know, losing in penalties. So it finished so disappointingly, and then to turn it around this season, and you know, the stretch of games they had to run up to this final has probably been one of the best, you know, for a long time in the A-League. So, you know, he managed to galvanize everyone, and they've recruited well with Cohen, Ferreira, and a few others, and yeah, I think they're deserved winners.
I enjoyed it. Got spicy towards the end, didn't it?
Yeah.
I enjoyed
I mean,
that. There was a lot of just, these are kind of the scenes you don't like to see, but you really like to see. You know, there was one with was it in the box? Was it Ferreira as well? Was just like
Ferreira.
some big, like, pushing, whatever.
I think
And there was-
Lockie Jackson too. Like it was a
Yeah,
big
it was
height-
Jackson.
big
Yeah,
height
height
difference. And he's flirting too, because he was on a yellow.
Yeah.
So like you got to be.
You could see Jackson was trying to get him sent off, wasn't he?
But that's I think even as his bench, there was a few times when he would come running in.
Well,
he
he
did
did
it
that
last
as
week.
well.
Oh, he's got some form.
Fire. He's got fire, and then Lex would come in. It's I like that those experienced players, you know, are really showing the youngsters around there, like, you know, we're really up for this. And there was a lot of niggle throughout the game, and the referee did pretty well. I thought he could have probably brought out a few yellows nice and early, because it got really spicy.
They kept his powder dry, which was good, I think.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Adam Kelsey, I thought he had a great game. You know, again, as I said, you wanted to let it, you know, maybe sort of borderline, and it was borderline. He was sort of ooh, and I think Cohen, he made like 3 or 4 where you like, and then he gave him a yellow finally. You know, so he let it go, and I think that's what you know. It's a derby, it's a final. Like, this is also what you want to see. So,
But actually, if you're 1-0 up, you want those. You want to stop the game and slow the game down. I think there was one where somebody fouled, a Victory player fouled a City player, just, you know, and it's really late on, and you could just see in the background Ryan Teague just going, oh, mate, you know, like, you just don't give away a foul. You come on, that is the last thing. They're going to take 25 minutes over that, and you would. Word on Bates, right? Because this is his second grand final. First one was 2010. It's like that's a generation ago, isn't it?
Well, I played in that one.
It's that long ago.
And how else can I talk about it without like?
No,
I was there, so I understand.
I understand.
You have to talk about it.
I wasn't there.
Well, I mean, that was.
Not that this show's just about you. You have to talk about it.
Well, I mean, for Aziz Baich, you know, a lot of Melbourne Victory fans will remember it was probably the 87th minute. A ball came across. It was 1-1 going into extra time, and it was a nod on, and he was back post free. He really, if he just almost like, I've just got to throw something at it, like my body. And when you go on reflection, all he needs to do is just stand there, and it's really just a tap in, and it would have possibly won the grand final. After that, he gets let go by the club, and I think he played MPL, and then he gets snapped up by Melbourne Heart. And I think this is why he's had the career that he's had, because he's almost like been so grateful for the opportunities that he doesn't want to let these things go. So he's given a second chance at Melbourne Heart, and that's where I think he's always wanting to repay the faith that this club's given him, and that's why he's come back, and he's like, I want to try and win a trophy for this team that it gave me a future, and a great future. Like, I mean, his career overseas has been exceptional, but I think it started from that disappointment. They're giving him an opportunity, very grateful for it, and then he's been electric the whole time this season. I mean, his work ethic, he's 34, 35?
He's 34, and I think Viddy spoke to his leadership as well.
Oh, it's incredible.
When he was making a decision on who's going to be the captain, it was no one else but him, right? And I think Baich, Aziz, has shown that. And, you know, you just feel happy for him, obviously for the club as well, but on a personal level, going through that adversity and, you know, him wanting to give back now. Not only does he give back, but, you know, he's got a championship medal around his neck.
Yeah, and not just as a leader. Like, you got to look back at the last 3 or 4 weeks. Like, he scored a couple of goals. He had a big impact. That great little back heel.
Yeah.
So he's been impactful as well. And obviously defensively he's strong. And he can get involved in the fights. He's been there.
Yeah, I know.
in
For a little lad.
Yeah,
like
yeah, in every
he's
single
almost
moment.
like
It's always the little ones.
The terriers.
Yeah.
The little.
It's a sort of, it's an insecurity about being.
You reckon there's a little bit of Bilbo and Frodo Baggins?
I'm only looking at you two. Me and Thomas wouldn't know, would we? But
I've been in that situation where you're out on the pitch and then you're like, I'm probably one of the smallest on the ground, and I fire up knowing that there's people around me that will break it up.
I see.
If I was to do that out on the street, no way. Like I
If
wouldn't.
we're just because I'm tall, if we were together on the street and you piled into someone, I would walk the other way. And I'd say I'm not with this man.
Well, I wouldn't do it because
No.
I got no one to stop it. Like it's one of those ones where you push someone and then you get the other person to pretend to hold you back and like, I want to.
And also, you've already
doesn't let go.
Yeah, just don't let go of me, mate, because I don't want to fight you.
You've already meditated for 25 minutes, anyway, so you're totally fine.
There was a game against, I think we were playing Wellington at home, and that didn't happen to me. So I had a finger in the eye, someone had a fist in it. There's a really good photo, I think, in the West Australian. There's 4 guys around me, but we just go, we come from a bloodline that wrestles bears.
Right, of course. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. So we just go.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about Aurelio Vidmar, right? Because we've talked about so many coaches. We talked about, Kisnor at the start of the season before he left, Delays as well. We talked about our mate Knackers.
Knackers, love Knackers.
Love to you, Knackers. Alex J.A., of course, we had that
My
chat
man.
with him, so...
Build the nation.
Exactly. Oh, of course. Yeah.
My man again.
Of course.
The
With
Wollongong,
these
brother.
hands. But we haven't talked about Aurelio Vidmar at all. Like, is that a failing of this show? And should we sack all our producers, or has he just done this under the radar?
Yeah, a little bit. And I think it's really been a season of redemption because, he copped a lot of criticism for that loss against Victory in the semi-final last year. Thought he made some questionable tactical decisions of taking experienced players off. And I think he's just been going out quietly. He's embedded a lot of new players, the young players, the work he's done there, I think... And they've just become a better and stronger team as the season has progressed. And he's not a guy that sort of comes out with big statements after the game. He's sort of, he's a bit of, as I said, under the radar, quiet guy. Doesn't
Smooth operator.
Yeah,
Tomo.
and again, he sort of let the results talk for themselves. And I think he really deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, well,
No one agree? He just said it all.
No, I mean,
Thomas
he,
got
said,
it all.
he did. He said it all, and I did ask a question to him last night about when you're looking at your squad and your team, especially during the week to a build up to a grand final or on that game day in the warm up, you're thinking, okay, my team's going to do it, and he's like, no, it's pretty much been the same process, the same training sessions throughout the season, so we don't want to get overawed. We just want to know that we've got our processes, and when it comes time to it, we're calm. We know what we've done over the week, and then bang, it's game day, and that's what it showed on the grand final. But that, I think, just shows his managing skills. So, he lost the grand final against us. That was his first grand final. I wonder if that might have been playing in the back of his mind coming into this one, knowing the history that Melbourne Victory and City have and the dominance of Melbourne Victory. But I think when you've got someone that is calm in that sort of position, it just filters down to the players. And you can see after the game how the players are with the manager. I think that's how you know if you've got a good one.
It's a really good reflection.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you could see it throughout. And,
It's not the time if you hate him to tell him.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He's in a good position there. He's holding the cards.
Yeah, well, that's right.
isn't
If you've
he?
got 1 year and you don't
Yeah,
know what's
yeah,
happening,
you're off
he's the best
contract.
guy in the world. But you could just, it's really, really nice to see. And I think that's, you see the quality as a manager there.
And look, defensively, the last 20 games that they've gone 1-0 up, they've won 15 and drawn 5.
That's amazing.
That's an amazing stat.
Look, what I love overall about what Vidi's done there is from day dot, he's actually faced challenges, and you've obviously got Jamo there and his coaching staff. They had some key injuries throughout the year, and I love the fact that there was a blend of bringing in these academy boys, and now they've become seasoned pros, right? And then knowing when to bring really your high end players back in, Cohen coming into form. And really, that's the skill of a manager, to be able to have that blend of, local talent from at academy level. You got key international players and then key Aussie players. One of the highest paid, I think, Lekic, Tomo mentioned. And it's really finding that blend. And he's done it. He's done it brilliantly. Like you said, defensively, like outstanding. Obviously, they got the bull there. He was on fire last night as well. And massive kudos to the coaching staff in general, because we look at one man in Vidi, but you look at the teams now, and from a coaching perspective, there's so many support acts behind that pull that together. But from his perspective as the gaffer, he holds a lot of that responsibility. So yeah, a massive year for him and the coaching staff there.
And I think too, when it comes to, like, you just see the coaching, but what's so important too is building the right culture within the club.
Yeah,
like culture's a massive thing with success, and I think that's where he's got a beautiful balance, where you got the young kids have come in and they've all stayed humble, they all worked hard, they've all know their position. When an experienced player comes in, they just know that, okay, my time, I'm going to just let them do what they have to do if I'm called upon. I'm going to work really hard. But I think it filters from the top and comes down. You can see from the experienced players, as is Bage,
think of one other player. Go on.
Lekic, Ugarkovic.
Yeah.
They stay humble, and and that culture filters through to the young team, and it starts from top. And I think Vidi has a big play in that as well.
Yeah, and also you're also looking at a manager. We talked about Aloisi, some of the young players he's brought through that he's elevated, and you look at this Melbourne City team, like Truan, I think has really taken a massive step. Patrick Beach, we forget that he had to make a tough decision with Jamie Young. He had to let him go, put him in and give him the trust, and he's been a massive part of this. Even Tilio, he was there last season, again injuries, but he has come on, back to his best, and could play a massive part for the Socceroos as well. So, I think there's definitely, alongside all the young players, I think he has elevated certain ones and given them the confidence to play within the system. And as you said, the culture as well, with the right players, the experienced players to back it up.
Hey, Victory missed Felipe, didn't they?
Big out, massive out.
Yeah.
Massive out.
Is that the end of that chat?
No, but
I thought you were going to rock on with that.
I mean, it's just true. No, we said it all there.
I think they got hit by injuries sort of at a bad time. Even at the back, and Velupile, he's been one of the best players of this season. So yeah, it's a big miss. Would it? I don't know if it would have made a huge difference. Maybe he would have been in the box for a few of those crosses early on. That's where he's been great. Yeah, I don't know what you see.
Well, I think the hard thing for Melbourne Victory is that, you miss someone like Nishan that with a counter, you got the speed, and that's where you can maybe potentially hurt City. But the problem is with that, when it comes to City, they're so well organised, and when they get back, they get back in numbers. When they get forward, they get forward in numbers. So I just think that I don't know if any player was going to affect that game for Melbourne Victory last night, the way that the Melbourne City team was so disciplined. And I thought that physically, like I said, that Victory would be able to match them, but they just couldn't, unfortunately.
And actually, nobody really gave Victory a chance of apart from me, gave them a chance of getting this far.
Well, that's the thing.
Like nobody thought, they'll be in the final.
Yeah, it's a hard gig to get to a grand final from a fifth position.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like when you're playing your semi-final and your second leg away from home, it's especially what they had to do. It's so it saps you in a way too, because you've got to have to put a lot more into that game leading into a grand final, and when you've got to go over to Auckland. And then travel, come back, not making excuses, because like I said, I mean, it felt like even if Melbourne Victory had played that game in Melbourne, the way that City turned up, it would have been hard anyway. But there's all these little factors that play a big part in it. And poor Nishan. I think I've seen him trying to run before, like the day before the game. Mate, when I played 90 minutes and I haven't played 90 minutes in a long time, I'm still moving better than that.
So you had 3 hopes. You had Bob Hope, No Hope, and Hope from Days of Our Lives. There's another Days of Our Lives gag off the back of last week. Everyone was like, no one got your Days of Our Lives gag. I said, well...
It's one for the kids, isn't it?
Not for the kids, one for the massos in the north.
It was always going to be hard, and when you lose someone as key as Nishan, like just in that attacking front.
And actually, it's a good point, isn't it? That Melbourne City did so much in the first leg of their semi-final. They couldn't like relax in the second semi, but their run for this last week or two has been much easier than victory going to Auckland and getting that brilliant result.
And that's, I guess, the way the A-League's designed. It's not first past the post. If you're fifth, that journey's a little bit longer, a little bit harder. Obviously, from a victory.
Should be.
Sorry?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't think there's any, we're not hiding from that factor that they had to travel. I think the reality is it's going to have some form of impact, right? Did they play their grand final a week prior? Potentially. But for me, City, like you said, defensively really strong. Maybe with Nish coming back in, it would have given them another headache. But clearly that wasn't going to happen after you went through his medical testing. So he was a late scratcher.
Yeah, are you faster than Archie Thompson at age 50? No, you're not going to. You can't play. So
late scratching.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we can start our own club. You can do the financial. I'll be the medical staff.
Yeah.
Mate, we're all
CEO?
good.
Am I CEO?
You're CEO, mate. Yeah.
We'll start
Maxi?
a team tomorrow, for next season.
Let's hold him in
The new
midfield.
franchise.
Can we take over that club of yours, mate?
You cannot take over the Melbourne
okay.
Bohemians. Quinny will have words with you. He's a great captain. Two trophies in 2 years, 2 titles in 2 years.
compete
You
with
can't
that.
argue with it. Worth mentioning that Mehmeti skill at the end. Because actually there were, Azani showed moments, but as you said, there weren't so many moments in the game where you were like, but that bit where Mehmeti's right at the end, isn't it? That sort of chopped back heel. I think I'd break an ankle doing that.
Yeah, no, it was good. And again, another little glimpse to what they've done this season in terms of giving these young guys
He's 17 too, right?
that exposure. Yeah, I actually saw some of the South Dandy crew watching him there. So big g'day to Vets, supporting the young lad. But it's awesome to see young kids, teenagers on the big stage. I mean Caputo as well. I think they interviewed him post match, and I think he'd been in the system since 13 or 14 in the City system. I'm not too sure. Coming out of Essendon Royals. So these stories, and to be able to see these kids, thrive on the dance floor and show their shapes and moves, mate, absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and they're beasts, right? I think I was speaking with someone last night, and it might have been one of the experienced players that mentioned about Max Caputo.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Trent Sainsbury said that for his age, he's one of the strongest strikers that he's faced in the A-League.
Wow.
This season, just with how he's built, and he's harassing it, and the Memento's the same.
Same, yeah.
17, he's got all the attributes, and he's got all the skills to really go somewhere. He's strong, he's quick, he's got great touches on the ball. Melbourne City are blessed with a lot of good young quality.
He got the Marston Medal, Joe Marston Medal. Who are you giving it to instead of him?
Oh, there's a few.
I think, in some way, Ferreira I thought was fantastic. He was here, there, and everywhere. He used every trick in
I mean, his neck was wider than the pitch, so that helps. He is literally everywhere.
But
he's a beast of a man.
I also for everything that Lekic has done, and I thought he had a really, really good game. The bandage, it all added to the story.
Yeah, it does.
It's a great character.
That's the thing. If you're having a terrible game, just get a big headwind, and everyone will think you've played great.
Yeah, I take nothing away. But I think there were several in that Melbourne City team that could have won it. You know what? It's also fair that Lekic takes it.
Yeah, and in Nathaniel Atkinson, I thought those two wing backs, Aziz Baich and Nathaniel Atkinson, were great. Nathaniel Atkinson, I actually thought was a good chance, and he would have been the first to win the Joe Marsden twice, because I think the last final that they won against Sydney, he got that medal. But you can't fault anyone in that City side. They were just good, very good.
And victory. I don't know where they go now. Fornaroli, is that his last game? He got a lot of classic centre forward, just with the back. What was that one challenge?
He got battered.
It was
He
him.
got absolutely.
I love that one. It was the least subtle in the back I've ever seen. The ball's there, and he just goes. And then 10 minutes later, heads it, and then it's a free kick. It's like, what? What do you mean?
We had AFL umpires from the MCG look at that and say, "Ooh, I'm not having that."
It wasn't.
He'll go to the tribunal.
It wasn't his game, was it really? Because he wants to get in behind. He's very quick. He
And I
just
thought-
didn't
I
have
thought
those moments.
They kept sort of hitting a long ball where he was up against two. That's not his game. At least hit it to feet where he can use his body. It was always sort of hanging up there.
Aerial, it was. Yeah.
And Truan
Just
and
bracing himself. He's
Ferreira,
just like this all the time, going, ugh. It's like literally, like he's there, the ball's coming, and he just hears brace.
Well, that's I think that was a matchup that I was really interested in seeing because Ferreira loves that content.
Oh, doesn't he love a little bit of body contact?
Yeah, and
it's almost
Bruno-
like the sausage fest we've got here.
I got loads of space here. I don't know, what is it? What,
I don't know. I don't know what happened
I've
here.
not showered this morning, so
Contractually, I don't know what happened here, but anyway.
actually,
he loves
if you look at my deal, I said I can't share a chair with any of these people.
Yeah.
That's what it says. It says these people in my contract. Exactly.
But that physical kind
loves
of
it.
mate, he just feeds off it, and that's where Bruno probably found it a little bit tough. And then, like you said, even having Lekic in that middle was aware of Mashash, who's so strong. They're both strong players, so I feel like that's probably a part in why Lekic sort of sat in there because those boys feed off that stuff. But Ferreira, I'd hate to meet him in a dark alley, or anywhere, to be honest.
He might be a nice guy. It's not necessarily going to knock you out, Archie, is he?
Family man, actually.
Oh, it could be. Yeah. He could be taking his kids to dance class right now.
The dark alley is an interesting analogy, isn't it? Because it's just so rare you're in a dark alley. Like, it's so rare.
It's a fair call.
There was a time, I guess, but it's very rare. I go, no, this is a strange time.
You would normally stay clear, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I actually don't think I've ever
You don't
been
see a
there.
dark alley. Actually, I fancy going down there.
And then the total coincidence.
That looks good.
Yeah, I'll go down there. And then the coincidence that you meet a big chunky A-League centre back. You're like, it's weird. What are you doing down here? He says, well, I'm just here to beat the daylights out of you. Oh, that's a bit of bad luck, isn't it? All these things come together, and there we are.
You were so great in the grand
You
final.
were really good. Why are you in full kit? Because if you weren't, I wouldn't recognise you. This is a really strange set of situation, isn't it? Simon Hill's last game after 20 years commentating. I mean, I would say a good thing. Get the English out of our game. That's what I say. But he has been an amazing servant. He's been the voice of so many big moments, Socceroos moments and A-League moments, hasn't he?
Yeah, you're probably better, but at least what I can remember, and he goes way back. It's just you're the same in England, like Martin Tyler and certain things. You just connected with moments, and their voice just elevates games or goals or great moments in sport.
So look, good luck to Simon.
Yeah.
Going back to the UK, yes, and actually, commentating is such a hard skill, and you have to do so much prep, as opposed to just sitting on a sofa with a coffee going, "That's a good goal, wasn't it, Dave?" This is the easy bit, but that is honestly, I have so much, I have so much respect for commentators because they're all a bit weird. That is worth pointing out.
Well, he's got this soft, beautifully spoken voice.
Yeah.
But he's actually in a rock band, like a heavy metal rock band. Did you know?
He's the lead singer of Green Day.
I don't know if he's the lead singer. He might be the guitar, but
Well, hopefully it wasn't the drums because you were doing that. Right, so if you were saying, he's the drummer.
after the gig.
It's worth pointing out that obviously whoever wins, and that really helps your social media campaign. But Melbourne victory, I think Melbourne City just weren't really posting because maybe they're just having a digital detox. Right, good idea. You can be on your screen too much, and then Melbourne Victory were sort of sent some tweet going, "Come on, do something."
Yes,
That's a
I
silly
saw
thing
that.
to do, wasn't it? And then Melbourne City just put up a billboard. Was it on where was it?
Swan Street.
On Swan Street, just saying, "Oh, we did do something. We won the football match," which is a bit more than just posting. Aren't we the best team? Let's see.
Well, you always leave yourself open when you
Bit
go
of
down.
niggle's good.
When you go down that dark alley.
There's been some good social media posts, billboards. There was the Auckland one. They took the W back to Auckland.
Yeah,
So
good.
you know what? There's been some creative stuff going on. And that's what we need. it pokes the next season.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
pokes
It does,
it.
yeah.
It's good.
Anything else to say? Have we missed anything from this game? I think we've covered it well. Has it?
I think that's it.
Should we? Can I ask? Has this been a good A-League season? It's the first one that I've covered, so I don't have a lot of reference points. I've enjoyed it. I'm not just saying that as like a corporate shill paid to say it. I've really enjoyed it. It's been interesting coming from the outside and seeing the sort of permanent existential crisis that people have around the A-League. It's like any other league I've ever watched. Some games are good, some games aren't, some players are good, some aren't, some play well, some don't. And at the end, you have a winner. There's been some brilliant moments and some terrible games, and that's just like any league, I think. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I think there's so many storylines. I think obviously Auckland coming in, the momentum that brought, and it's all about, changing the narrative. I thought it was a fantastic statement last night with the crowd and the whole, just the whole occasion. I think it was a perfect fitting. And, again, us is sort of, maybe a little bit onto it. There's so many young players that come through. You're starting to see players, feeding to leagues abroad. The attention to the Australian game has definitely grown, I think. So I think we're moving in the right direction. And it's getting more traction, and I think it's going to, hopefully keep growing from here.
Yeah, and you look at the crowd numbers too. I mean, it's great to see Western Sydney start to do well again, and they were very close this year, and always sort of say that for the leagues to do well, you need these bigger clubs of Western Sydney to start getting fans back, and they're starting to do that. But
I think Knackers teeth.
Oh,
teeth-
Knackers,
Yeah, we love
Knackers.
Knackers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's everything's been great. The young talent that's come through that we wouldn't probably necessarily see because of that budget cut for this year. And it's really exciting, the future. And that match last night, okay, it wasn't fantastic, but the advertisement of our league through the celebration, the atmosphere.
And just seeing fans that really care.
Oh,
Lots of
mate,
fans that really
brilliant.
care. When you know those great photos when a player is celebrating in front of the opposition fans. We had it. Who was it? Kamala earlier this year. I remember.
Yeah.
And then you just see the opposition fans who they love dishing it out, but they cannot take it. You're like, oh my god, let me at him. He's not worth it. Brian. Let me at him. I want to see that.
Yeah. No, but I think it showed also like what football can do that none of the other codes can. Like that atmosphere. We talked about the singing of the national anthem. I've been to any sport in Australia: basketball, AFL, netball, and everything. And
Do you go to netball?
no, I've been there. My daughter plays netball.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've been to.
What's
a
wrong with
full-
netball? Actually,
Yeah, no, so, but
1970s man, we're not having that. For goodness sake.
I've never heard a full stadium in Australia sing the national anthem. And the atmosphere, the singing, the passion, and this is what the strength of football is. And I think that's why, hopefully, we just needs to see more of that every weekend and week out. We've seen it in Auckland,
Yep.
And none of the other codes have it, and that's what really separates them.
And actually, it's not overnight. It's a young league. It's 20 years old, right? And I've said this before. And actually, what sport is about. Actually, the sport itself is kind of irrelevant. It is the community. It's your family. It's going with your kids and their kids and blah blah blah. So actually, you need to just go. Everyone just relax a bit. In 100 years, it'll be amazing. Now, if you're the CEO, you can't just say, it's fine, give it a century, right?
We've got a 100-year plan.
Yeah, exactly.
My great grandchild will enjoy this.
Like, that's trickier if you run the thing, but actually, that's what you need to do. If it just keeps growing, it's fine. It's not going to suddenly be like the most attended sport in Australia next season. But if there are incremental increases slowly but surely, that is...
You picked it, like 20 years, so young. You're going to have ebbs and flows. That's just the reality of it, right? We're building this game. We've always had that battle, I guess, against other codes. I'm not too sure why. There's no reason why we can't coexist. And really, from a country perspective, whether it's male or female, it is the beautiful game for a reason. It's the global game. It's a game that actually brings, everyone together. And that's, you talk about community.
Someone put a beautiful soundtrack on this.
Who's the girl that plays the violin?
Evangeline.
Let's get Evangeline on the violin. Honestly, what our game does is quite rare.
Yeah, and 1.9 million playing the sport.
Oh no,
in
that's
Australia.
outstanding.
It's biggest sport, so yeah, it's just.
1.899999 because I've got a slight knee. knee injury. Yeah, I can't.
I'm not playing this weekend.
I can't make it. I can't make it. It's a bit of a long away trek as well. I just can't make it. Yeah.
You got to go see Ortho Sports, Julian Feller, our man, the professor.
Is that right?
He'll look after you.
Yeah. Okay, 'cause it's a bit,
Epworth
just a bit of
Hospital.
fluid in there. It's a
Level
bit of fluid,
5.
but I just don't want surgery. You know, if you can avoid it, avoid it. Socceroos.
Yes.
That's big, isn't it?
Ooh,
Football
wow.
never stops.
Yeah.
Few of these guys
No, it
are.
doesn't.
Few of these guys are going to have to go off. Lekic gonna? Is he in? Is
Can we put
in?
Lekic in a mask?
No.
Yeah.
Can we put
I
Lekic
think
in
no,
a
zap?
zap?
The last thing I heard was that he's not going to
No,
be selected
okay.
with the nose. But
Going in for surgery on Monday on a broken nose.
Schnozzer Warehouse. Make
It
it
is.
Schnozzer
Is it
Warehouse.
Schnozzer Warehouse?
Face grouse. Yeah.
Okay.
what would you expect? Like Tilio, Brian Teague, there's plenty from this game.
But these games are so big, right? You know, we talk about the momentum of football getting to a World Cup.
No,
Johnny
well.
Warren, all that, you know, like it makes a difference, right? So, and Japan and Saudi Arabia, they're not easy games.
No, and you're missing Jackson Irvine, like captain is not there. So you know it's going to be like two tough games. It'll depend on like what does Japan turn up like. They're qualified. Do they try to try?
Don't sense Japan are on the beach team. You know, you just don't get that vibe. They're not just going to rock up in flip-flops and go, we don't
And it's
care.
probably harder. Like you get some of those young Japanese that can run forever. Yeah, it might not make it any easier. So it'll be interesting. Is that in Perth?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Perth.
Perth,
And then Saudi,
10 past 9, Australian Eastern Standard Time. I've just guessed those, but it sounds about right, doesn't it? On the 5th, on Thursday, then Saudi Arabia
So
away.
what time is that in Perth then?
I mean,
7, 6,
Who
7?
knows what time it is?
Just testing you.
Is it 2 hours? I think
you
it's
would
2
know.
hours.
2 hours. 2 hours
hours.
difference at the moment.
7
Yeah.
o'clock.
10 past 7.
10 past 7.
Okay, tough
We've
game.
cleared that.
Can we do it? You.
You've got to hope.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if we get a good result, a win against Japan would be just amazing. I don't think we need to worry about Saudi, but just to get something to go into that match would be fantastic. I mean, I don't know when the last time Socceroos played a game in Perth. Might have been in the qualifications, but it's going to be massive and it's going to be a huge crowd and going to need everyone.
Total A Leagues, Vince Rugari, Tommy Orr on Wednesday. Is the warm-up not on? I suppose they don't need to warm up. There's no... come on, give Georgievsky and Stoll one more outing.
No, I think they were done.
Are they done?
I saw the big man last night with his little one.
Oh, right, yeah. They're good. I like them. They got a good chemistry,
Yeah.
haven't they? And that's what you need. You need
Saturday
great,
and Sunday.
great chemistry. Saturday and Sunday. Exactly right. Hey, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Archie.
Thanks, mate.
Backer. That's been fun. We'll do it again probably next season. Bye.